Hello guys, welcome back to Math Zone African Motives, still on mathematics grade 10 level. So in this platform, we are going to focus on the question paper, which was written in November 2016. That is paper 1. So we shall quickly rush through the questions so that we see how are we supposed to be attempting these typical questions. So as you know, guys, you're supposed to read your instruction, especially this one of the degree of accuracy that you're supposed to leave your answers to 2 decimal places unless stated otherwise. All right, so the first part of the question, that is our question number 1, we were given to factorize the following expressions fully. That is the given question. All right, so as we can check the first part, that is x squared minus x. So that one is just direct. You can even try and attempt it here. So x squared minus x, all you need is to find the highest common factor. What is common here? That is x. So this is going to give us x into, if we factor out x, we divide x squared and x, that is x minus x divided by x, which is a 1. So as you can note, there's nothing that we can do. So take note, do not confuse yourself with this question, which can be asked like x cubed minus x, like that. For this typical question, if you factor out x here, you are going to remain with the x squared minus 1. The x squared minus 1 is a difference of 2 squares. So there we are supposed to factorize again, applying the difference of 2 squares concept, where for the square root of x squared, which is x, the square root of 1, which is 1. So one bracket is going to add, another one is going to subtract, or you can subtract, then another one add, still one is the same. So, but on this one, it's actually done. There's nothing that we can do on that part. Okay, on 1.12, we are given again to factorize. We are given these are 4 terms, 1, 2, 3, 4. So I always say that if you are given 4 terms like this, we've got 3x squared plus 3px minus 2mx minus 2mp. You're supposed to check if there are common terms for the first 2 terms and also for the last 2 terms. So for the first 2 terms here, we've got a common term. So that means we can divide into 2 and factor out what is common in these 2 terms. So we can see that 3 is common. So we can factor out 3. Also, we've got x squared and x here, x is common. So we can factor out 3x as the highest common factor. So if we divide 3x squared, divide by 3x, 3 and 3 cancel, x squared and x, that's x, plus 3px divide by 3x, 3 and 3 will cancel, x and x will cancel, you remain with p. All right, what you're supposed to do is to factor out the highest common factor between these 2 terms, and so that you obtain this bracket as this one that we have of x plus p. So what are you going to factor out here? Negative is common, so you're going to factor out negative 2m, okay? Negative 2 and m is common. So if we factor out negative 2m here, you can cancel negative 2m, we remain with the positive x, negative and negative, that's a positive. Negative again and a negative, that's a positive. The 2m and the 2m cancels, you remain with the p. So as we can see, these 2 brackets are the same. And we know that if these 2 brackets are the same, what you do is to factor out that common bracket, that is x plus p. Then you remain on this side with 3x and minus 2m. So you're going to remain with the 3x minus 2m. All right, so that is the part that you're going to have, or the answer that you're going to have. All right, on 1.13, we are now given 2p squared minus 2p minus 12. Remember, this is factorization. So if we are to check, we can see that there is a number which is common throughout here for 2, 2, and 12. 2 is common. That is the highest common factor that we can factor out here. So if we factor out 2, you divide 2p squared and 2, that is p squared, minus 2p and 2, this will cancel. You remain with negative p, minus 12 and 2, that is a minus 6 if we divide the 2. So we are remaining with p squared minus p minus 6, which is a quadratic expression. As we can see, now the coefficient of p squared, it's a 1. Take note, this is factorization. You do not divide by 2. If it was an equation you want to solve, that's where you can divide by 2. But if you are dealing with factorization, you factor out the term. All right. So on this one, we are going to have 2 brackets since the coefficient there of p squared is 1, which you need the factors of p, which is p and p. So here we are going to focus on the constant term, which is the -6. So what are the factors of -6? That when you add them, they will give you the middle term, which is a -1. All right, so factors of -6, we've got -3 and 2. If we multiply these two, we obtain -6. If we add, we obtain -1. So these are the numbers that you're going to have. It does not mean that these are the only factors that we have. There are so many factors, -6 and 1, -1 and 6. But if you add these numbers, they do not give you the middle term. So which means we can't use these numbers. All right. So that is the final answer that you can have. As you can see, there's nothing that is common. We do not have any difference of 2 squares, so you just have to leave our answer like that. All right, on 1.2, we are asked to simplify the following. All right, so let's see what we have here. So the first part is 1.21. So on 1.21, we are given 2 to the exponent of a plus 1 minus 2 to the exponent of a minus 1. Everything over 2 to the exponent of a. All right, so what can we do? In this case, we know from our laws of exponents that if you're actually multiplying the bases, which are the same, you simply add the exponents, which is a plus b. All right, so in this case, we are having 2 to the exponent of a plus 1. That means you are multiplying 2 to the exponent of a by 2 to the exponent of 1. Minus the same thing here. This is a -1. It's a minus 1, which means you're multiplying 2 to the exponent of a and 2 to the exponent of a -1. Remember, if you add a plus -1, that's a minus 1. So that means it's the same thing. Okay, everything over 2 to the exponent of a. So what you can do is to divide each and every term by 2 to the exponent of a, or you can factor out the 2 to the exponent of a on top here. We can see that 2 to the exponent of a is common. So if we factor out 2 to the exponent of a here, we remain with 2 to the exponent of 1 minus, if we factor out 2 to the exponent of a here, we remain with 2 to the exponent of -1, everything over 2 to the exponent of a. So there is a miracle here. These two are the same and they're multiplying to the bracket, so you can cancel out these two expressions of 2 to the exponent of a. So now from 2 to the exponent of 1, we know that this is same as 2. Just like x to the exponent of 1 is same as x. So this will remain as 2 minus 2 to the exponent of 1 from x to the exponent of -1 is 1 over x. So 2 to the exponent of -1 is same as 1 over 2. So you can subtract 2 minus a half, which is same as 1.5. That's 1.5, all right? Or which is 3 over 2, 1.5, or 3 over 2. Or you can subtract from your calculator direct 2 minus a half, which is 1 over 2. That's 3 over 2. So you can write it as 3 over 2 or 1.5. So this is what you're going to have. All right, so that was 1.21. Let's remove this so that we can check 1.22. On 1.22, we are given x squared. All right, what I'm going to do is just simplify at once. All right, so from this expression, we know that if we are dealing with a division, what you're supposed to do is to introduce a multiplication sign, then invert the second fraction. All right, so that means we are going to have x squared minus x plus 1 over x to the exponent of 3 plus 1. Multiply 2. The moment you multiply, you are inverting the second fraction. So this 2x plus 2 is now on top, everything over 2x. All right, so what we have from this part, we can see that x squared minus x plus 1 over x cubed plus 1. That's an identity that you're supposed to know. Okay, that is x plus 1 into x squared minus x plus 1. So guys, please know your identities, okay? So it's actually factorizing x cubed plus 1. On 2x plus 2, you factor out 2, you remain with x plus 1 over 2x. All right, so that's what we have. We can see that the x squared minus x plus 1 and the x squared, this one are the same, so we can cancel them out. As long it is between the numerator and the denominator. We have got x plus 1 here and x plus 1. It can also cancel. We've got 2 and 2 here. So on top here, we are remaining with actually a 1. Down here in the denominator, we are remaining with x. So our answer is going to be 1 over x. All right, so this is what we are going to obtain from this one. So these are the typical questions, and that's how actually they ask these questions. So you must be very, very clear on your calculations, show your calculations and everything. You obtain the full marks there. All right, on question 2, we are given to solve for x 2.21, 2.11. That's 2.11. We are given x into x minus 1 is equal to 20. All right, so when you are dealing with this type of an equation, it's very difficult for you to solve like that. Expand brackets, then you see the miracle later on. So it's x here and x, that is x squared, x and minus 1, that's minus x is equal to 20. So as you can see, the highest exponent is 2. That means we are working with a quadratic equation, which is given in this format: ax squared plus bx plus c is equal to 0. So that means we are supposed to transpose the 20 to the other side of the equation so that it can be a negative. So that's x squared minus x minus 20 is equal to 0. All right. So it's a quadratic equation that you're given. You can factorize, use any format, guys. All right. So factorization is the easiest here because the coefficient of a squared, it's a 1. So all you need is to have 2 brackets. So we're gonna have 2 brackets, equate them to 0. So factors of x squared, which is x and x. So here we are going to focus with the constant term, which is the negative 20. So what are the factors of negative 20 that when you add them, they will give you negative 1, the coefficient of x. So the factors of negative 20, we have got negative 5 and 4. There are so many numbers actually. We have got negative 20 and 1. We have got 20 and negative 1. We have got 5 and negative 4. We've got 10 and negative 2, negative 10 and 2. There's so many factors of minus 20, but which part that when you add these factors, you obtain the middle term, which is negative 1. So that's minus 5 and 4. If we add minus 5 plus 4, that's minus 1. You can prove on your calculator, guys. Minus 5 plus 4, that's a negative 1. So these are the two terms, two numbers that you're going to take, which is minus 5 and a plus 4, equate it to 0. So to find the value of x, that means each of these brackets must be equal to 0. So x is going to be equivalent to negative 5 to the other side, that's a positive. Or x is equal to 4 to the other side of the equation, it will be a negative. Take note, it was a positive, so it's going to be a negative. All right, so that was 2.11. We have got 2 values of x. We move on to 2.12, where we are given a fraction and still an equation that you're supposed to solve. So that's 2.12. We are given 3x minus 2 over 2 is equivalent to x plus 1. So x plus 1 is a whole number, so to be a fraction, you just write it as over 1. So this enables you to cross multiply. So by cross multiplying, 1 is going to multiply 3x minus 2. So it's 1 times 3x minus 2, which is 3x minus 2 is equal to 2 here multiplies everything. So it's going to multiply the whole part of 2x of x plus 1. So it's 2 times x, which is 2x, 2 times 1, which is a 2. So from there, guys, we can collect like terms, the values of x to one side of the equation. This will be minus 2x. So it's 3x minus 2x, which is x is equal to, we transpose also negative 2 to the other side of the equation. It is going to be a positive. It was a negative. Once it crosses the equal sign, it's now a positive. So we've got 2 plus 2, which is a 4. So our x will be a 4 on that one. All right, so that was the consideration there. On 2.2, we are given an inequality where m with the values of m that are all the real numbers that we have. So in this part, we are given to solve for m. All right, so that's an inequality. All right, so I'm just going to rewrite the inequality that we are given so that we can work it together. All right, so we can even utilize this space here. So this is 2.21. All right, so we're given that -4 is less or equal to, that was negative of m less 5, like that. All right, so that's it. So if you are given an inequality like this, these are simultaneous inequalities where you are required to separate the two inequalities with the middle term or the middle expression. So in this case, we've got a middle term, which is a -half. So the first inequality is going to be -4 is less than or equal to -half m. All right, we do the same thing. We start with -half m as another inequality. So -half m is less than 5. All right, so from these we can solve depending with which way do you want to actually solve it. In this case, as we can see that negative half is actually multiplying. So you can divide by -half if you want, or you can cross multiply. So many ways, guys. Someone might want to cross multiply 2 times -4, which is -8 is less than or equal to -m. So to find m, we divide by -1, which was the same thing as dividing by -half. Okay, but knowing that the moment you divide by a negative, the inequality sign reverses or the inequality sign changes. So which means it is going to be opposite like that. And we've got negative into 8, that's a positive 8 because it was negative and negative. So which means m is less than or equal to 8, or 8 is greater than or equal to m. That is what it means in terms of m. All right, so this here we can even write as m is less than or equal to 8. It's just one and the same thing. This still m is being affected by the it's actually looking in this direct at what, at m. So it's just one and the same thing. We do the same. So just like I said, guys, we can simply divide by a -half direct, like what we did there. It was to cross multiply, but you can just divide by -half. This cancels here, but take note, it's a -half. So the inequality sign is going to reverse or is going to change. So this will be greater than, so it's 5 divided by a -half, which is actually -10, or you can prove on your calculator 5 divided by a -half. That's -1/2. All right, we are going to obtain, all right, let's just close the bracket, -10. So m is greater than -10. So now comparing these values, we need now to compare this in terms of m, because we've got two values of m, but the smaller value for m is -10. So that means here we can write it as m is greater than -10. You start with the smaller value. So take note, this is one and the same thing. The arrow is still pointing at -10, just like here. Arrow here is pointing a negative, is still pointing at -10. It must not change that. All right, but the same m that we are talking about, it's less than or equal to 8. The same m that we have here is less than or equal to 8. So that's the final answer that you can have. So we are referring to the values of m which are greater than -10, but less than or equal to 8. All right, so that was 2.21, just to solve the inequality. Then write the answer in question 2.1 in interval notation. So interval notation is showing the values of m this way. All right, so this is 2.22. So you're just indicating that your m in this case, we are talking about values from -8, that's -10 to 8. So like that, so you can just put it this way. Okay, that's the values of m. So that's what you just needed there. On 2.3, given the equations, calculate the value of 2x plus 1. All right, solve the simultaneous. Okay, this type of equation, I like it. Let me put it this way so that we can explain this part. All right, so this is 2.31. We are given 4x squared minus y squared is equal to 171. And 2x minus y, which is equal to 9. So take note, this is a quadratic equation. We've got a quadratic, and here we've got a linear. So we are now given on 2.31 to calculate the value of 2x plus y, which is also a linear part or a linear expression that we need. So we need the equivalent. So we can't have this value from 2x minus y is equal to 9. There's nothing that we can do there. So what are we going to do? We are going to work with this equation of 4x squared minus y squared is equal to 171. I want you to see something from this equation that is happening. We can, if we get to cross-check properly, we can see that this is a difference of two squares. 4, it's a perfect square. X squared is a square. Y squared is a square. So that means we are dealing with a difference of two squares where we simply need two brackets where we are going to have the square roots in these brackets. So we have got the square root of 4, which is 2, the square root of x squared, which is x, the square root of y, which is a y. So you're going to have 2 minus y here, and another one, 2x plus y. So depending, one bracket can add, another one subtract, as long as that way. So it depends with which way. All right. But if we can see from this, please take note of your difference of two squares, guys. If we can see that properly, we can see that we are given the expression for 2x minus y here, equivalent to 9. So whenever or wherever you see 2x minus y, it means it is equal to 9. So we can substitute that in place because what we need is to find the answer for 2x plus y. So here we have got 2x minus y, which is equal to 9. So we can substitute in place of 2x minus y, we can substitute with 9. So it is going to be 9 into 2x plus y is equal to 171, which is the same thing as what we had. So to find the value for 2x plus y, what we simply need, guys, is to divide by 9 both sides because 9 is multiplying the bracket. So 2x plus y is going to be equal to 171 divided by 9, which we can simplify from our calculator. 171 divided by 9, that is 19. So 2x plus y is equivalent or is equal to 19. All right. Then on 2.32, solve simultaneously for x and y. Also, it's going to depend with which way do you want to use. You can work with the quadratic here because it's an equation and the linear, but it's going to be easier for you guys if you are to note this. When we simplified on 2.31 here, we got a linear equation here of 2x plus y, of 2x plus y, which is equal to 19. Previously here, we were given another linear equation for 2x minus y, which is equal to 9. So it's going to be an advantage to work with linear equations. So we've got 2x minus y, which is equal to 9. So it's easier for you to solve using this equation than for you to go back and work with that quadratic equation that, yes, you can do that, but guys, just cross-check the number of marks. We've got 3 marks for that. All right, so that was the easiest way that we could have done. So depending with the method that you're going to use, substitution, elimination, this and that, but guys, we can take an advantage here of elimination because we can simply see that 2x and 2x are the same, y and y are the same. So we can eliminate x by subtracting the second equation from the first, because this is your second, that's our first. So we can subtract the second equation from the first, that is equation 1 minus equation 2. So that would be 2x minus 2x, that's a 0. Y minus minus y, so this is same as 1y minus minus 1y, like this. 1 minus minus 1, like this. So it's going to be a plus. So it's 1 plus 1, which is 2y, is equal to 19 minus 9. 19 minus 9, that's a 10. So you can divide by 2 by 2. So that means y is equal to 5. So take note, this is a simultaneous equation where if you solve for y, we can substitute this value of y, which is 5, into any of these equations. We can substitute even into first equation, 2x plus y is equal to 19. And the value of y in this case is 5. So it is going to be 2x plus 5 is equal to 19. So 2x is equal to, we can transpose 5 to the other side of the equation, that's negative 5. So 19 minus 5, which is 14, divide by 2 both sides, by 2 both sides, x is going to be equal to 7. All right, so these are the values that you are going to obtain. The value of x, which is 7, the value of y, which is a 5. So that was actually question number 2, carrying 16 marks, which is a lot. So that's actually a lot, guys. We have to revise as much as we can. So we are going to move on to question number 3 so that we can see what we're given. So on question 3, we are actually given dark tiles D and light tiles L are used to create patterns on a floor. All right. The first 4 patterns are shown below. For the patterns that follow, the tiles are arranged in similar manner. So they are going to be arranged in this manner and so on and so on and so on. All right, so we've got the first part with the dark tile only. The second one, 3 of them, then 1 which is light, then the 4th one like that, and so on and so on and so on, as you can see. So the question is on 3.1, how many dark tiles were used in pattern 5? Okay, so what can we simply see here? We can actually work out with the questions to say for the first one, we had 1 dark tile and 0. So we've got 1 dark tile and 0 light tile. On this one, we've got 3 dark tiles and 1 light tile. Okay, on pattern 2, on pattern 3, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we've got 5 dark and 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so that is 4 which are light. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We have got 7 which are dark. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 9 which are light. All right, 9 which are light. So comparing the dark tiles here, we can see that it's 1, 3, 5, 7. There is a difference of 2 here. 3 minus 1, that's 2. 5 minus 3, that's 2. 7 minus 5, that's 2. So to find the one that we are going to have on pattern 5 here, that means we are going to have 9 of them because it's just a difference of 2. So we're going to add, so there will be 9 dark tiles. All right, so in this case, they are actually 9, okay? Then 3.2, how many light tiles were used in pattern 6? All right, in terms of light tiles, what is happening? On the first one, we had a 0. The other one, second one, that is 1. The third one, that is 4. The other one, that is 3, 9. So we can see these are actually perfect squares here. We are dealing with perfect squares. All right. The first one, it was a 0. The other one was a 1. The other one, so on the perfect squares that we are dealing, we can see that we are having 1 less than the number that we are supposed to have. Like in this case, let me write it this way. We've got 0 here, all right, which is the first value. The second pattern, that's a 1. So which means we are having 1 less than from each term. There is a 1 less than that we are having like this. Let's just write it this way. Let's say n is representing the pattern, the nth term. So it's n minus 1 like this to the power of 2 because these are perfect squares. Like so, the first one, if it is the first pattern, it's 1 minus 1. That's a 0 squared. If it is the second pattern, that's 2 minus 1 squared, which is 1 squared, which is 1. As you can see, that's 1. The third one is 3 minus 1 squared, which is 3 minus 1, which is 2. So 2 squared, that is 4. So that is how you simply find these values. All right. So meaning to say, for the 60 in pattern 6, it is going to be n, which is 6. So it is going to be 6 minus 1 squared, which is 5 squared, that's 25. All right, so you can work it that way, or you can try to find how to get the answer. So many ways. Okay, 3.3, write down the general term Dn for the number of dark floor tiles used in each pattern. All right, so for the dark tiles, what is happening here? We need Dn. So what you're going to do is to take for the dark tiles, it's 1, 3, 5, and 7. All right. So let's just do it here. This is 3.3. All right, so for the dark tiles, we have got 1, 3, 5, 7, and so on. This is the pattern that we are having. So we can see, we saw that there's a difference of 2 throughout. So which means this is a linear pattern. And we know that for a linear pattern, I told you guys, Tn is equivalent to A plus n minus 1 times d. Yes, there are so many ways that you can use, but that's the easiest way that you can have. Where A is the first term, n is the number of terms, then d is the common difference. So in this case, we are dealing with dn. So we are going to write it as dn. So dn is equal to A, which is the first term, that is 1, plus n minus 1 times d. That is the difference that we saw before here, a difference of 2 throughout. So we are going to multiply by 2. So that's the expression for dn, but we can't leave our answer like this. We just have to simplify further. So it's 1 plus 2 times n, which is 2n, 2 times minus 1, that's minus 2. All right, so dn is equivalent to 2n, 1 minus 2, that is minus 1. So someone can even note this by just looking at the question. You can tell that the pattern is of 2n minus 1. So guys, there's so many ways of doing this. All right, just like what we said on 3.4, we are now given to write down the general term for the Ln, the light one, for the number of light floor tiles used in each pattern. But if you have to cross-check for the light, we already talked about it. We said it's n minus 1. I think we talked about this one. So that's n minus 1 squared. All right. On 3.5, which pattern will we have exactly 64 tiles, 64 light tiles? Okay, which pattern, which means they're actually asking you the value of n for the light. So which means you are going to take the expression, take note, this is for the light floor tiles. And in terms of the light floor tiles, this is the general expression for the light tiles. Okay, so let's write our general expression. So this is 3.5. All right, so on the general expression for the light tiles is given as n minus 1 squared. So we are now given that which pattern will we have exactly 64. So you are equating now the value or the expression for the light tiles, which is n minus 1 squared to 64. That is the total. So guys, there's a square here. So to remove square, you have to introduce the square root both sides. So you're going to have n minus 1 is equal to square root of 64. That's plus or minus 8. Square root of any number, guys, you must know that is a plus or minus 8. All right, so to find n, sorry for that. It's actually, I'm showing the screen, so anything can happen. So to find n here, we can transpose minus 1 to the other side of the equation. That will be a positive 1. So we are going to have n is equal to 1 plus or minus 8. So n is going to be separated between plus or minus 8. So it's going to be 1 plus 8 or n, which is equal to 1 minus 8. So that's 1 plus 8, which is 9. Or n is equal to 1 minus 8, which is minus 7. But we are referring to the number of the pattern, which can't be negative. So therefore, our n is going to be equal to 9. So the minus 7 is actually not applicable. It can't work. All right, so on solving, there were so many ways. Someone could have solved this equation this way. From n squared, from n minus 1 squared is equal to 64. Someone can expand this to 2 brackets, n squared minus 2n plus 1 from your identities there, which is equivalent to 64. So you can transpose the 64 to the other side of the equation, which is going to be n squared minus 2n, 1 minus 64, that's minus 63 is equal to 0. So you now solve the equation by factorization. Since the coefficient of n squared is a 1, so we simply need 2 brackets that we are going to have with n and n. So focusing with negative 63, what are the factors of negative 63? But when you add them, they must give you negative 2. So we have got negative 9 and 7. All right, so that's negative 9 plus 7. So each bracket equal to 0, n is going to be 9, or n is going to be minus 7. So that's what you're going to have. Okay, so as you can see, we could have solved this equation in so many ways. Okay, each ductile on question 3.6, we are given that each ductile is 0.3 meters wide and 0.6 meters long. Calculate the total area covered by all ductiles in the first 100 patterns. All right. So what we actually need, guys, is, okay, let me explain this way. Let me not rush. we are given that each ductile is 0.3 by 0.6 meters long. Okay, that's a ductile. So we are talking of area here. So let's start by just calculating the area of the ductile. So this is 3.6. All right, let's even answer it this way. So the area of each ductile tile is going to be, that's a rectangle. Remember, a tile, guys, it's a rectangular format. So we are given the length and width. So we are going to multiply length times width, which is 0.3 times 0.6 or 0.6 times 0.3. Okay, so this is the area of each tile. All right, so 0.3 times 0.6, that gives us 0.18. So we have got 0.18 square meters for each tile. All right, now we need to know how many ductiles do we have if the pattern is for the first 100 patterns. How many do we have? Okay, so what are we going to do to find the total of the first 100? We can simply substitute the value that we are given into the expression because we need the sum. So take note, this is the sum, guys, that you need. All right. So remembering that, guys, sum of terms can be given like this. All right. So this is what I'm going to do. Right. Let me use this space here. So these are the ductiles which are given by the pattern here. 1, 3, 5, 7, and so on. So if we are to add this one up to the last one, when they are 100 tiles, what is the total? That is the question. So for you to find the total, we've got this sum of terms that you can use using this formula. The sum of terms is equivalent to n over 2 by a plus l, where a is the first term, l is the last term. So the first term, that's a 1. So the last term is the one that corresponds for the 100 patterns. So we are going to substitute. Remember here, we can calculate the nth term from this formula of 2n minus 1. So the last term, that's at 100. So our last term is given from 2 times n, which is 100. So it's 100 minus 1, which is 2 times 100, that's 200 minus 1, which is 199. So the last term is 199. So we are supposed to add 1 plus 3 plus 5 plus and so on up to the last term, which is 199. So instead of doing that, guys, we can't be adding these terms on our calculator. We can simply substitute in this formula for sum of terms to say that the sum of the first 100 terms is the number of terms, which is 100 over 2 into a, that is the first term, and your first term here, that's a 1. So you're going to use 1 plus the last term, which is 199. So that's 199. So we can have the sum of these terms. All right, so what is going to be the sum? 100 over 2. So there are so many ways that you can use, but using formulas, guys, is one of the easiest because you get the answers direct. So we are going to obtain 10,000. All right, so this is the sum of the ductiles. So we've got 10,000 ductiles. All right, but remember, we are asked to calculate the total area. All right, so the total area now is going to be 10,000 ductiles multiplied to the area of each ductile, because we've got the area there. So the number of ductiles now times the area of each ductile gives us the total area for the for the 10,000 ductiles that we had. So it's 10,000 times 0.18. So on this answer, just multiply by 0.18, which is 1,800. So we are going to have 1,800 square meters. Take note, this is the total area. So that was it, guys. Yeah, it was something else. It needed you to be very focused. This typical question, very focused. So that was question 3, having a total of 12 marks. All right, so you shall cross-check the question 4 of the paper, where we are given this one under finance. All right, so that is finance. So you shall try by all means to cover up everything there. So we are given that on question number 4, let me try to do this. Mary wants to buy a fridge that costs 15,550. Okay, that is the amount, that is the cash price of 15,550. Okay, so we are given that she has to pay a deposit of 15% of the cost, that is the cost price. All right, so we've got our cost price here, and the balance by means of a hire purchase agreement. So after paying the deposit, there's a balance that is going to be needed. All right. The rate of interest of the loan is 16.25% per annum simple interest. The repayment period of the loan is 54 months. In addition to the hire purchase agreement, there is an annual insurance premium of 1.5% of the total cost of the fridge should be added. So remember that insurance is added to the monthly installments. The annual insurance premium should be paid in monthly installments. We are given that manner. All right, 4.11, calculate the value of the loan that Mary will take. So in this case, guys, we need to know the actual thing that we had, because we are given that. I want you to see what is happening. Mary wants to buy a fridge. That is the fridge that she wants to buy. But for her to buy this fridge, she's supposed to pay a deposit of 15,500. Okay, a deposit of 15%, sorry, of the cost price, which is of 15,500. All right. So the loan now is becoming the balance that she's going to have after having paid the deposit, because there's no way she needs to have a deposit being paid. All right. So in this case, the loan is equivalent to the balance. That's 4.11. Let's just hope it's going to be clear here. So we are talking of the loan, which is equivalent to the balance. So that's a cost, the cost price minus the deposit, okay, minus the deposit. So that's what you're going to have in this case. All right. So the cost price, we already have it, which is 15,550. So we are already given the cost price of 15,550 here. So that's our cost price, 15,550. Then a deposit, we are given that you must have a deposit of 15%. All right. So that means for you to calculate this deposit, we are going to calculate the 15% of this amount, of which 15% is 15 over 100. That's 0.15, or just 15 divided by 100 like this, which is 0.15. So it's going to be 0.15 times the cost price of 15,500, because remember, the deposit is paid on the cost price. All right, so if we multiply this, what are you going to have? 0.15 times 15,500, that is 2,325. All right. Are we together? Are we together? Are we together, guys? I think I put a lot of zeros here. Okay, I can see that this is a big value like this. Oh, now it has increased. Okay, let's redo this. 0.15 times, this is supposed to be 10 here, 15,000. How am I taking this value, guys? It's 15,550, not 15,500. I just hope someone was seeing this. That's 550 here. All right, so we've got 15,550. All right, now it can post this. That was a big value, or it was not. 15,550. That's it. All right, so you're going to have 2,332.5. All right, so it's gonna be 2,332.5, but this is money, so you round off to 2 decimal places. So this is the deposit. All right, so just cross check, guys. Just cross check your values if you are obtaining the same values there as the ones that I'm having. If not, then let us work on it together again. Okay, so the loan now we said is the cost price minus the deposit, of which we've got a cost price of 15,550 minus the deposit of 2,332,50, or just 5. So this is going to give us the total loan. So 15,550 minus 2,300 and okay, 5. That's it. So we are going to have 13,217. So it's 13,217,5. Okay, so that's 50. All right. So this is the loan that we have from this part. So that was 4.11. All right. So let's see that. All right, so on 4.12, we are now given, calculate the total amount that must be repaid on the hire purchase agreement. All right, so we are actually calculating the total amount, which is the accumulated amount. Remember, this is a hire purchase, so which means we are actually working with a simple interest in this case. So for the hire purchase agreement, then that's 4.12. All right, so let's see, we can even try and work it out here. So 4.12. So we know that hire purchase, that's the simple interest where we know that amount is equivalent to P into 1 plus IN. So we need to calculate the accumulated amount, which is the A. So the P, which is the principal, that is the initial balance, which is the loan. So because remember what we are given here. She's going to deposit 15%, okay, on the cost, and the balance by means of hire purchase. The balance by means of hire purchase. So which means the P is the balance that we had, which is paid on hire purchase. So P is the balance, which is the loan amount of 13,217,50 into 1 plus the interest rate. So let's check the interest rate, at which interest rate is it increasing. So that's at 16.25% per annum simple interest. So 16.25%, if we divide by 100, 16.25%, if we divide this by 100, that's 16.25 divided by 100, which is 0.1625. So we've got 0.1625. All right. Then we move on to the number of years, which is N. So take note, this is supposed to be repaid within 54 months. So 54 months in years, since we know that a year is 12 months, so we have to divide. So our N is going to be 54 divided by 12. All right, so what do we have from our calculator? 54 divided by 12. All right, it's giving us 9/2. All right, so we can even multiply by 9/2 here. All right, so that's the total amount that is going to be paid, which is 13,217.5 into the bracket of 1 plus 0.1625 times 9/2. All right, so that's what you're going to have at the end, which is the total amount. So it's going to be 2282.79. But if you round off the 6, it's going to affect the 9, which is 10, and affect the 7 to 8. So the amount is going to be 22,882.80. Remember, 2 decimal places if you're dealing with the amount that is money. All right, then on 4.13, calculate the monthly repayment, which includes the monthly insurance premium. All right, so what are we going to do, guys? Remember, we are given that this Mary is going to be affected by an insurance which is at 1.5% of the total cost of the free. Take note, the total cost, which is 15,550. All right, so let's start with the insurance part. All right, so this is 4.13. 4.13. So we're going to start with the insurance part and see what was the insurance first. So the insurance is given at 1.5%. It's at 1.5% of the cost price. All right, which is the cost price in this case. All right, we are given here that the insurance is 1,5 of the total cost of the fridge, which is 15,550. So we are going to multiply, and this is per annum, so which means we shall have our insurance as 1,5%, which is 1,5 divided by 100. That's 0,015 times the cost price of the fridge, which we said is 15,550. So that was 15,550. But it's done per annum, which means yearly. So you divide by 12, which is the number of months in a year. All right, so let's see what is going to be paid monthly from the insurance. So it's going to be fraction here. All right, let's say for fraction 0,015 times 15,550 over 12. All right, so this is going to be 19,4375, which is 19,44. All right, so we are going to have 19,44 rand, which is paid monthly. All right, but here we are given that this is supposed to be the monthly repayment, which includes the insurance. So what are you going to know about this Mary? What is she paying? Actually, if in a month, she is actually paying for 54 months. And what is she paying in these 54 months? She is paying this amount that we had here, which is the balance that which is the total amount that we had, sorry. So we are actually dealing with the total amount. This is the one that was paid in 54 months. And we had the total amount which is paid, this one, all right, which was paid in 54 months. So now in a month, what is she paying in a month? So the actual monthly installment was supposed to be like this, right? I want the red one. So the monthly installment was supposed to be the total amount of 22,882,80. Yeah, that was an 8 there, divided by 54 months. So let's see what is she paying in a month before the insurance. So this is 22,882,8 divided by 54. All right, which is something like 423,755, which is 0.76. So it's going to be 423,76 rand. Okay, so that is the total amount. That is the monthly installment that we're supposed to have. But now remember that there is insurance. So the total monthly installment is going to be the monthly installment that we had originally of 423.76 plus the insurance. So you add the insurance, which is 19,44. So this is going to give you the total monthly installment. So that's 423.76 plus 19,44. All right, so we are going to obtain 443.2. So this is 443.20, right? Okay, so this is the monthly amount that she's going to pay when the insurance is included. All right, then on 4.2, we actually worked with this similar table on another question, but let's see what we had. We are given the table below shows the rand equivalent of 1 British pound and 1 US dollar. So we are given here, Britain, United Kingdom pound, that is 21,41. So this is the exchange rate exchange of the rand. So this is rand and this is rand. Okay, this is just 1 pound, $1. So a South African nurse works in United States of America, okay, which are the ones who are using the dollar. So we are given on 4.1, the nurse saves an equivalent of 4,800 per month. Calculate the amount in US, that is the American dollars, that she saves per month. All right, so what you simply do is go to the proportion that you are given. So this is actually simple proportion that you have. For the United dollar, we are given that each dollar is equivalent to 13 rand. So we are dealing with a dollar here, equivalent to 13.45 rand. But she is saving 4,800. So we are going to write the number, the amount here in rands under the rand part here, which is 4,800 rand. So what is the equivalent now in dollars? That is the question. So you can see it's going to be more. So it's going to be the total over this multiplied by a dollar. So we're going to invert. So we are going to have 4,800 over 13.45 multiplied by a dollar. So the amount is now in dollars. All right, so that's actually 4,800 divided by 13.45 and you multiply by 1. So it's going to be 356.877, which you round off to 2 decimal places. The 7 is going to add, that will be 8. So it is going to be $356.88. So she's saving $356.88 in a month. All right, on 4.22, she ordered a book from United Kingdom and paid $85. Okay, so take note, in United Kingdom, they are using pounds there, but she used a dollar. Calculate the price of the book in pounds. All right, so what are we going to do, guys? We are actually going to work with the different conversions that we can use. We are given that here she's dealing with a dollar, whilst here she is supposed to be working with the pounds. All right, so the conversion that we have here is a dollar to a rand, a pound to a rand. So for you to calculate the amount that you're going to have in pounds, you simply divide the amount, the pound that you have and the dollar. All right. If that is actually complicated part to work with of dividing these amounts, therefore just convert the dollar here to the pound. All right, so you can simply do that conversion. Guys, what I'm simply saying is that here we are given okay, I can just do this conversion here so that I cannot waste much time since we have the table here. All right, so on the conversion part, what you're going to do, you can convert to say, because you want the amount in pounds. So you want to know that each dollar is equivalent to how many pounds. So you simply have to divide. So that one is 13.45 over 21.41 like that. So by doing this, you have converted to pounds. So you can multiply by the amount, which is the $85. So this is the amount that you're going to have in pounds. All right, so which means it is going to be 13.21, okay, 13.45, sorry, divided to 21.41. Then whatever that we get here, we multiply to 85. That is 53.3, so and so forth, which is in pounds now. So it is going to be 53, the 7 is going to change the 9 into 10, and it gives this 1 to 4 to 3 to 10 into 4. So it will be 4 like that. So we are going to have 53.40 pound. Or you can convert the dollar to pound in this way. Since you are given $85 here. So what you simply need is to convert, because you are given that a dollar is equivalent to 13.45 rands. So you convert the $80 to rands, so that whatever that you have, you can convert the rands to pounds using this conversion. So what is the amount that you're going to have in rands from the $80? So it's 80 over 1 times 13.45. All right, so if we multiply 80 times 13.45, this is going to be 1,076. So we're going to have a total of 1,076 rand. But remember that a pound is actually equivalent to 21.41 rand. So what is the equivalent now of 1,076 rand? What is the equivalent now in pounds? So you can do this conversion, but it's going to take a lot of time. So it's going to be 1,076 over 21.41 multiplied by a pound. So that's what you're going to have now in pounds. All right, so that's 1076 divided by 21,41, and that's 50, all right, 50, 21,41. Is this the actual value that we are having? Or maybe there is somewhere. Suppose we're supposed to obtain the same answer. 18,45. Okay, let me just get back here. All right, this is 85, not 80 rand. This is 85, $80. This is $85, this one. All right, so 85 times this is not going to give us. I hope someone saw this and was like, what is happening now? So that's 85 there. 85 times 13,25, 13,45. That's 13 here, 0.45, which is 143,25. So it's one, let me write it here, the corrected one in another pen. So you got 143,25. All right, so this is, let's correct also here. So this is 143,25. So this is 143,25. All right, because we must obtain the same answer there. All right, so this answer here divide by 21,41. What do we obtain? That's 53, that number, which is the same. So we are going to obtain 53 pound, 53,40 pound, just like this one that we got. So that's what you simply needed on that one. All right, so on 4.3, we're now given a sum of money doubles in 5 years when the interest is compounded annually. So that's a compound interest. Calculate the rate of interest. So we're given that each amount that we are going to have is going to double. All right, so if it doubles in 5 years, what are we given? We are given the amount. Okay, let's see, let's take this way. All right, let's take this way. We know that this is a compound interest where we know that amount is equivalent to P into 1 plus I to the exponent of N, where A is the accumulated amount, P is the principal. So the amount, it doubles. So which means this P is going to double. If it was 500, it's 500 times 2. If it is 700, 700 times 2. So the amount doubles, so it is going to be 2P, or you can say let P be equal to X. If you do this, then A will be equal to 2X, still one and the same thing. So you can simply use that concept, or since it doubles, so A is equal to 2P, which is P into 1 plus I to the exponent of N. It doubles in 5 years. So the number of years is 5, and you're asked to calculate the interest, which is the value of I. All right, so what can we do to calculate I here? We can divide by P both sides. As you can see, if we divide by P, these will cancel, P and P here will cancel. So you're remaining with 2 is equal to 1 plus I to the exponent of 5. So what can we do to remove to the exponent of 5? We can introduce the fifth root. We've got to the exponent of 5. So that's the fifth root, both sides. So the fifth root of 2 is equal to 1 plus I in this case. So to find I, we can transpose that's 1 to the other side of the equation, which is going to be the fifth root of 2 minus 1 is equal to I. So let's see the value of I that we are going to have. So it's shift this one, which is the fifth root of 2, whatever that we get here, we subtract a 1. So this is going to be 0,14 and so on and so on and so on and so on. All right, so that's 0,1486 and so on and so on. But this is the interest rate where we know that it's supposed to be a percentage. So you multiply by 100%. So therefore, our interest rate is going to be what? If we multiply by 100%, this is going to be 14,869 and so on, which is 14,87 if we round off. So that's 14,87 to 2 decimal places. So that's what you're going to have. And the interest rate is actually paid per year. So it's going to be per annum, per year. All right, that's per year. Annually, that's per year. So that was question number 4, having a total of 16 marks, which is actually a lot. Yeah, that's a lot in exam, guys. You're supposed to revise as much as you can. All right, in question number 5, you're now given functions. The graph of f of x is given as x squared minus 4. The graph of gx is given as minus x plus 2. So we've got f and g here drawn. Then we are given the x-intercepts, A and B are the x-intercepts, C and D are the y-intercepts of F and G. Okay, we've got C and D here, the y-intercepts. K is a point on G, so that BK is parallel to the x-axis. Okay, BK here is parallel to the x-axis. BK, no, it's not parallel. It's parallel to the y-axis. So this one is actually a mistake here. This is your BK here. It's parallel to the y-axis. That is what to the y-axis, not to the x. So that was actually a mistake. All right. A parallel line to the x-axis is supposed to be like this. That's parallel to the x-axis. So that was a mistake. All right. Anyways, F and G intersect at A and E. So we've got the point A and the point A, E here as the point of intersection of the two graphs. Okay, write down the coordinates of C, that is 5.1, and that is actually 1 mark, the coordinate of point C. So what are we supposed to do in this case? All right, 5.1, let's just work out here. So we are given 5.1 to calculate the coordinate of C, and we can see that our C here is the y-intercept and is also the turning point of F. And on F here, the y-intercept, we know that in the y-axis, x is equal to 0. So you simply need to substitute the value of x into the equation of y. So y is going to be 0 squared minus 4, which is negative 4. All right, so this is the value of y at C. So therefore, the point C is going to be, we said in the y-axis, x is equal to 0, y is equal to 4. Remember, guys, the layout of a point, it's xy. All right, so that was 5.1. Then 5.2, write down the coordinates of D. D again is the y-intercept here. So this is our C here, which said it's negative 4. Then we need D. D is the y-intercept of G. So where x is equal to 0 again. So we're just going to substitute into gx the value of x here. So that's 5.2. So y is going to be equal to, if we substitute as 0 here, that will be 0 plus 2. So y is going to be 2. So therefore, the point, okay, this was the point C. I'm not seeing the C here. Let's do this. Okay, now we are having the point D. So therefore, the point D, the value of x is 0, the value of y is 2. So that's 0, 2. So that means the value of y here, that's a 2. All right. On 5.3, we are now given determine the length CD. Okay, the length CD. Okay, we can see that from C to D, it's actually in the y-axis. That's a vertical line. So all you need is to just subtract the 2, or you can use the distance formula, but there we can simplify our CD by subtracting the y values, which is the y value at D minus, if you are going down, you subtract the y value at C. All right, so that's what you're going to have. That's the y value at D is 2 minus the y value at C, which is negative 4. So this is going to be 2 plus 4, which is a 6. All right, so that's 6 units. So that is the length CD. Or you can use this concept, guys. Since we have got C and D here, we know that the distance CD is given by the formula x2 minus x1 squared. Okay, that's a squared plus y2 minus y1 squared. So that CD is equal to the square root of, we can just name x1, y1, x2, y2. So that's 2 minus 4, okay? So it's going to be 2 minus 4, which is 2 plus 4 squared plus, okay, I started with y there. In fact, it's fine. Let's move on to x. So x, that's 0 minus 0 there. So it's going to be 0 minus 0 squared. Still one and the same thing, guys. Don't panic. Don't panic. All right, so the square root of 2 plus 4 squared. So it's going to be 2 plus 4 squared plus 0 squared. 0 squared, guys, is just same as 0. So, okay, there's nothing there. So we're going to obtain 6 units. So as you can see, we are obtaining the same answer for CD. So if you do not know the concept of just moving here, then just use the distance formula. You obtain the same Same answer, even though the number of marks won't change. Okay, calculate the coordinates of B. All right, where do we have B? Okay, that's where our B is situated here. All right, so actually A and B, they work here. They work hand in hand because these are the x-intercepts of F, which lies in the x-axis, where we know that in the x-axis, y is equal to 0. So what you simply need, that was 5.4. 5.4. So from our f of x here, we are given that our f of x is x squared minus 4. All right. So we are given that f of x is equivalent to x squared minus 4. And we say that a and b, they lie in the x-axis where y is equal to 0. So if y is equal to 0, all you need is to find the values of x. So we are going to have 0 is equal to x squared minus 4. So that's a quadratic equation that we can even write as x squared minus 4 is equal to 0 squared, which is a difference of 2 squares. So we're going to have two brackets here. The square root of x squared, that's x. Square root of 4, that's 2. So one is going to add, another one is going to subtract. You equate to 0. So x is going to be plus 2 to the other side of the equation, that's minus 2, or x is equal to minus 2 to the other side of the equation, that's a plus 2. Or from this stage, you can work this way. X squared, you transpose 4 to the other side, negative 4, it is going to be a positive. So to remove the square, you introduce the square root both sides. So x is going to be equal to the square root of 4, which is plus or minus 2. So as you can see, we are obtaining the same answers. So our x at the solutions is supposed to be a minus 2 and a plus 2. So definitely B is going to be minus because it's on the left side of 0, and A is going to be a plus 2 because it's on the right side. Okay. So the coordinate of point B is going to be minus 2, 0. Remember, we are asked to calculate the coordinate of the point B. So therefore, our B is going to be negative 2, 0. All right, that's our B, not D. All right, so that was the question 5.4. On 5.5, we are now given determine the coordinates of E, a point of intersection of F and G. That's 5.5. All right, so what you need to know is that at the point of intersection, we actually have the value here of A. We are just left with A. So there's nothing that we can use from A or that we can use to find A. So what are you going to do? You are going to solve these two equations simultaneously because at the point of intersection, the two graphs, they are equal. All right, so on 5.5, we are going to use this concept. The f of x is equivalent to gx. That's at the point of intersection. So your f of x here, it's y is equal to this, y is equal to this. So these two, they are equal. X squared minus 4 will be equal to minus x plus 2. So you have formulated an equation that you're supposed to solve. All right, so what type of an equation is this? That's a quadratic. So we know that from our quadratic, it must be ax squared plus bx plus c is equal to 0. That's one side must be equal to 0. So you're supposed to transpose the numbers minus x to the other side of the equation. That's x squared plus x. If we transpose 2 to the other side, it will be minus 2. So it's minus 4 minus 2, which is minus 6, which is equal to 0. So we're supposed to solve for x. It's a quadratic equation, yes, but the advantage is that the coefficient of x squared is a 1. So you simply need two brackets with x and x here. Focus with negative 6. What are the factors of negative 6? But when you add them, they must give you a positive 1. So we've got 3 and negative 2. If we multiply these two numbers, we obtain negative 6. If we add, that's a positive 1. So we've got plus 3 minus 2. So x is going to be 3 to the other side, which is minus 3, or x is equal to minus 2 to the other side, that's a plus 2. So definitely on these values of x, we are going to see that we have got a 2 that we already determined from the coordinate of A. That's why they didn't even ask you about A, they asked you E. So E is the one that is remaining on the negative side with a negative 3. So our E is going to be at this point where x is minus 3. But we need the coordinates now. So when x is equal to minus 3, what is the value of y? You substitute into any of these functions, either in f of x or either in gx, because we said they are equal at that point. So y is equal to, I'm going to substitute into gx, that's minus, our x is a minus 3, then plus 2. So y is going to be minus minus, which is 3 plus 2, that's 5. All right, so that means the value of y is 5 and the value of x is minus 3. So therefore, the point E can be written as x, which is minus 3, y, which is 5, like that. All right, so that was the point E. Let's check the other part of the question, guys. That is 5.6. So on 5.6, we are given now that for which values of x will 5.61 f of x is less than gx. So we need a condition where f of x is below gx. That is what it means. Okay, so where do we have f of x below gx? This is our f of x, guys. Let's start from here, from this side here. Our f of x here is above gx up to the point E. Remember our point E, we said x is equivalent to -3 here. All right, so at point E, they are equal. But as you can see, approaching from this, just below, just moving from E, the F is now below the graph of G. It's now below this graph, which means it's now less than Gx up to point A. When we reach point A, our F is now on top. So which means F is greater than G from this point 2. So our values, they are going to be taken from E, which is -3, the value of X, which is -3, and at A, which is 2 there. So it's from -3 up to 2. But if we are to check now the inequality, it's given as less than. So this is how we are going to write your answer. X is going to be greater than -3, but less than 2. If it was like this, less than or equal to, then you put the less than or equal to, but you are not given that, so you do not put that. All right, so that was the first part. On 5.62, the values of x for which f of x by gx is greater than 0. Where do we have f of x by gx greater than or equal to 0? So this one, we can take our values, guys. We can work them separately because our f of x is there. This is our f of x and our gx. Remember, f of x was x squared. So let's try to put it here so we can even try to work it here. So f of x was x squared minus 4 by gx, which is minus x plus 2. So they are saying it's greater than or equal to 0. So you are going to see that it's just finding the critical values of x squared minus 4 and the critical values of minus x plus 2 because we are equating to 0. So you are going to have the values of x. Remember, we solved the x squared minus 4. This one we got x, which was minus 2, another x, which was 2. All right. From this one, you do the same. You solve minus x plus 2 equal to 0 to find the critical value. So x is going to be equal to 2. So this one is still repeating at 2. So which values are we going to have? Our values greater than a 0. Greater than, which means for any value that you're going to substitute, it must be greater than a 0. Okay, so your x can actually range from -infinity up to -2. So our x here is going to be, we can't say greater than, let's say greater than or equal to, but infinity is not an effect. -infinity up to less or equal to -2. But the same x will be greater than or equal to 2. So you can even test the values by substituting here. You're going to see this. Okay, but for 2 marks, guys, I think you understand what I'm saying. All right, calculate the length of AK. So we need to find the length of A. All right, let's check. We have our A and our K on the diagram. All right, this is where we have A and where we have K here. Our A is at this point and our K is at this point. So they are, in this case, remember we are told that this is parallel to the y-axis. So that means triangle BAK, it's a right angle triangle. We are going to formulate a right angle triangle. Okay. In this case, we do not know the units that we have from this value, from this B to K. We do not know the value that we have. All right, but this is what you're going to do. Remember that at B, at this point B, our value of x here is -2. So we can substitute into G because at point K, it lies on G. So if we substitute on Gx here, remember Gx is minus x plus 2. All right, so this is what you're going to do, minus x plus 2. So this is 5.7. So the point K, we know that x is -2, but we do not know the value of y there. So remember that y is equal to minus x plus 2 and that value. And our x is -2, so it's going to be -2, which is +2. So y is going to be 2 plus 2, which is 4. So at this point K, we know that y is equal to 4. All right. So K here lies at a point where y is equal. So it corresponds direct with the 4. So this means from this point B to point K, there are 4 units. All right. So BK is actually 4 units. So we are given BK 4 units. And from B to A, we can calculate the units because this is -2, this is 2. So we can calculate BA. So BA is going to be 2 minus -2, which is also 4 units. Or you can say from B to 0 here is 2 units. From 0 to A, that's 2 units. So you add 2 plus 2, that's 4 units. Okay, so we now know that from B to A, we have got 4 units. From B to K here, we've got 4 units, and we need to find AK. So we can use Pythagoras theorem since it's a right-angled triangle. So that means AK can be found from our Pythagoras theorem. AK is going to be the square root of the other sides that we have, which is BK squared and BA squared. So it is going to be BK squared plus BA squared, which are the shorter sides. So AK is the square root of BK, which is 4 units, plus BA, which is 4 units. All right, so it's 4 squared, 4 squared. So that is going to be the length. So there can be so many ways, guys. Let me know on the comment section, guys, what do you say about this question? If you've got another method. So this is 4 square root of 2. So it's going to be 4 square root of 2, or in as decimals, it's 5,656, which is 5,66. So it's going to be 5,66 units. So that is the length of AK. So that was it, guys. So they can actually ask these typical questions. So it was actually question 5 having a total of 18 marks. All right, so that's what we had, guys. We shall try and by all means to proceed to question 6 and see what we had from that part, from the question 6 here. So in question 6, we are given the graph of Gx is equivalent to -2 to the exponent of x plus 8 and is sketched below. So A and B and the y and x intercepts. All right, A, the y intercept here, B, the x intercept. All right, then definitely the asymptote here. So the asymptote is taken from the function that you are given. F of x is -2x plus 8. So that means that's your asymptote there, y is equal to 8. All right, so that's what we had. Let's quickly rush through the questions. Just 8 marks, guys. All right, write down the range of G. That's 1 mark, the range of G. So to find the range of G, you work with asymptote. Remember, we've got an asymptote at 8. So y is actually limited at 8. So y cannot reach the value of 8. So we are talking about the values of y from 8 going downwards. So that's y is less than 8. All right, so that's the range here. Y is less than 8. Remember that range you did with the values of y, domain with the values of x. All right, on 6.2, determine the coordinates of B. All right, we need to find the coordinates of B, and B is the x-intercept. All right, so this is 6.2. So we are given our function here of Gx, which is Gx is equivalent to -2 to the exponent of x plus 8. We know that in the x-axis, y is equal to 0. So using this advantage, we can substitute in place of y, 0 is equal to -2 to the exponent of x plus 8. So as you can see, that's a normal equation, exponential equation, where we can transpose the minus so that it can be a positive this side. So 2 to the exponent of x is equal to 8. So guys, you are back to exponents. You are now dealing with an exponential equation where you know that we can make these bases to be the same, 2 and 8. So it's 2 to the exponent of x is equal to 8, which is 2 to the exponent of 3. So you know that the bases, if they are the same like this, that means the exponents are the same. So x is equal to 3. So therefore, the point B is where x is equal to 3 and y is equal to 0, like what we said. So that's the point B. Then we are given on 6.3, if the graph of, if G is reflected over the x-axis to form a new graph, determine the equation of what? Of H. Also, we are asked to determine the equation of H. So remember, guys, I talked about this reflection in the x-axis that you simply multiply f of x by a negative. Okay, that was gx, not f, gx by a negative. So which means hx is going to be negative times gx. Remember, our gx was minus 2 to the exponent of x plus 8. So this is going to be minus 2 to the exponent of x plus 8 multiplied to a negative. That's negative times negative. That's positive. Negative times positive, that's negative 8. So that's your hx. All right, so that's what, that was the question. 6.4, explain why the x-intercept of G and H are both at B. Okay, why is it the x-intercept is going to remain at G? Okay, this is reflected about the x-axis. So the point B here is on the, it's actually found on the mirror line because that's a reflection. So that means the x-axis here becomes the mirror line. So the point B is invariant, okay? So actually the point B is invariant, okay? Because, or it lies on the invariant line, lies on the invariant line or on the mirror line. All right. So if it lies on the mirror line, that means it won't change. It will remain the same. Okay. So there are so many ways that you can have. There are so many ways, guys, that you can have or that you can use to answer this question. Okay. On question 7, we are given a parabola is described. Okay, so that's a parabola is described with the following characteristics. The equation of the vertical asymptote is x is equal to 0. All right. So the vertical asymptote, we are given the value of x. Remember, a hyperbola is given by this. This is h. So hx is supposed to be a over x plus b plus c. So we are saying hx, there is the asymptote is at x is equal to 0. So that means the value of b is actually a 0 because it was supposed to be another value, but it's a 0, so which means there is nothing here. So it is going to be a over x. All right, then plus c. We move on here, the range. Remember, range affects the values of y. So it's from negative infinity to 3 to up to positive. So which means y is going to be limited at 3. So that is the asymptote for y here. So c is equal to 3 because c, that's the horizontal, that's the asymptote there for y, which is the horizontal asymptote. All right. So that means our hx now can be written as a over x plus c, which is plus 3. That is what we have. Then we are given the x-intercept of h is 2, 0. There's a point which is x is equal to 2 when y is equal to 0. So you can utilize this point to find the value of a. If we substitute our x2 and our y to be 0, it's going to be a. 0 is equal to a over x, which is 2 plus 3. So you can find the value of a. Transpose 3 to the other side of the equation. It is going to be equal to negative 3 or is equal to a over 2. So you can cross multiply because this is same as over 1. So if we cross multiply here, 1 times a, that's a is equal to 2 times minus 3. That's minus 6. So therefore, our hx can be given as, therefore hx is equal to a, say that's negative 6. So it's going to be negative 6 over x plus c, or c is 3. So it's going to be plus 3. So that's our hx, guys. So that was the information, question 6. Question 7, having a total of just 4 marks. All right, so yeah, they can ask these questions like this. On question 8, in a certain class of 42 boys, so there are 42 boys in this class. So that's the sample space here. It's actually equivalent to 42, everything that we have. And we are given that 27 play hockey, 27 here, they play hockey, 32, they play soccer, then 7 do not play soccer, which is this one, and unknown number X play both hockey and soccer. The information is represented in the Venn diagram below. So that was the information. Calculate the value of X. So for you to calculate the value of X, guys, you can simply use the information that you are given, that the total of these boys is 42. So you can formulate an equation by this. So that's 8.11. If we add everything, it must give us the total of the number of boys which are present, which is 42. So we've got 27 minus X plus 32 minus X, 32 minus X plus the 7 outside there. You have to add it also. So plus 7, everything must give us 42. All right, let's add the numbers. That's 27, 32, and 7. So let's see what you're going to have. 27 plus 32 plus 7. All right, that's a total of 66. So 66, we move on to X. This is minus X plus X minus X. So minus X plus X, that's a 0 here. We remain with minus X. So minus X is equal to 42. So to find X, we can transpose the 62 to the other side of the equation. That will be minus 60, the 66, sorry. So that will be minus 66. So we have got 42 minus 66, which is negative 24. So to find X, divide by negative 1 both sides so that we can cancel this. Our X is going to be 24. So the question here is asking us to find the value of X. So we are done. Then on 8.12, we are now given if a boy from the class is chosen at random, that's probability now. So from this part, that ye calculate the probability that ye A does not play hockey or soccer. Okay, does not play any of these. So take note, guys, we are given those who do not play any is given here, which is outside, which is 7. So that actually, sorry, is going to be 7 over the, remember, probability is the required outcome over the possible outcome. So that's 7 over 42. That was the total here. So you can reduce this, but there's no factor here. Or maybe you can just maybe want to write it as a decimal. So it's 7 divided by 42. Oh, it can be reduced, guys. That's 1 over 6. Sorry for that. So you've got 1 over 6, or it can be as a decimal. You can write it as 0.166, which is 0.167, 0.1, because we need 2 decimal places, remember. So it's going to be 0.17. All right, that's if you want. Okay, then on B, they play only soccer. All right, only soccer. So this is what we have here. Only soccer. This is the part here that we have of 32 minus X. But remember, we got our X as 24. So we're going to substitute the 24 here. So this will be 32 minus 24. All right. So 32 minus 24, what do we have? 32 minus 24, that is 8. So there are 8 of them in this set. So if they are 8, therefore the probability is going to be 8 over the total, which is 42. All right, so 8 over 42 is the same as 4 over 21. So this is 4 over 21, or you can write it as a decimal as 0.19. Yeah, that's 0.19. All right. So you can write it in any way, guys, as long it is good for you. On question number 8, we are given that a bag contains 3 blue balls and X yellow balls. Write down the total number of balls in the bag. Okay, guys, we are given definitely in terms of X. These ones, they are 3 which are blue, X which are yellow. So you simply have to add X plus 3 or 3 plus X. All right. On 8.22, if a ball is drawn from the bag, write down the probability that it is blue. Okay, how many balls are blue, guys? Blue, there are 3 of them over the total. What is the total? The total is x plus 3. So they were just trying to play with us. They were playing with us here. 8.31, complete the following statement. If A and B are 2 mutually exclusive events, mutually exclusive, they are separate sets, A and B. The probability of PA and B is equal to what? As you can, they are separate, so there is nothing that we have on the intersection, so that's a 0. All right, 8.32, given that A and B are mutually exclusive events, again, where we say they are separate, all right, they are mutually exclusive events. The probability that event A occurs, okay, probability of A is 0.55. The probability of B does not occur, which means the probability of B complement is 0.7. Calculate the probability of A or B. All right, take note, these are mutually exclusive events, whereby we say that this is A and this, they are separate. So the probability of A or B is simply adding what we have in A plus the probability of what we have in B, because they are separate sets. Here we are given the probability of what is in A, which is 0.55. But we are not given B, we are given the probability of that does not occur in B. It's not in B, which is 0.7. So what are we going to do now to find that which is in B? So the probability of what is in B plus the probability of what is not in B, which is B complement, is equal to 1. So using this part, we can say the probability of what is in B is equal to 1 minus the probability of what of B complement. It was a plus. So the probability of B complement is going to be 1 minus 0.7, which is 0.3. Okay, or just use your calculator for reference sake. So this is 0.7, which is 0.3. So now we have what is in B and what is in A. So what are we going to simply do? We simply add, because PA of B is equal to PA, of which our PA is 0.55, plus PB, which is the probability of what is in B, that's it's 0.3. So if we add these two, what do we have? 0.3 plus 0.55, that's 0.85. So it's going to be 0.85. So that's the probability, or you can write it as a fraction. 0.85 is same as 17 over 20 as a fraction. So that was 8.32, marking the last question of the question paper to obtain a total of 100 marks. So guys, can you obtain these 100 marks? If not, then it means we have to revise as much as we can from our question papers, our textbooks, and also our videos from the platform that we have, Maison African Motives. And don't forget, guys, to share our videos and platform, our Facebook platform, YouTube platform, to your friends from the links that we have, so that we grow as a family to help others also from the other side. So that's it, guys, for Maison African Motives. Let's meet again in another platform.